Post-COVID was a great time in this country where the conversations around tech came to the forefront. Why there was Corona shut down, so there was a need to work remotely, to do foreign jobs. Corona also led to some economic meltdown. The need to earn more took center stage, and the language break into tech became the loudest in this country. I can say that the growth rate of folks who have learned tech since COVID has increased. I was part of a particular event in 2021. It was a tech startup, meetup, conference sort of, and I was managing a segment called Break into Tech. One of the things I said a particular time was, if all of us broke into tech, what's going to happen to the real sectors? We had people who were in the medical line going into either UI UX or coding. We have folks in agriculture moving into UI UX, coding, front end content. We had people who were in fashion, creativity, art. A lot was happening at the same time, and I knew we were going for a downward spiral. However, how much could you say? Folks were making money. It was crazy. We had the t-shirts going everywhere, tote bags, face cap, brands. People were working remotely, meetups. There was this. It was a big deal. Everyone was on top of the game. It looked as if this is gonna be forever. People were either building things, even folks that I knew that were doing something that was physical, NGOs that could have revolutionized things. I knew folks that were starting event companies, you know, getting their hands into the ground, ditched everything they were doing, wanted to build a product. Everyone went into tech literally. And what we had was we had a crop of young people who have disconnected from what they were supposed to do, or let's even say what they were called to do, just because they wanted to do tech. Beautiful as it is, the tide has now changed. We have AI. And one thing you must know about AI is the replacement of jobs. I will explain in a short while. Folks are making the mistake about AI. Reskilling cannot solve the problem that AI wants to bring. Upskilling cannot just solve the problem that AI wants to bring. The first thing we need to do, we need visionaries who will chart the next phase of the world. And then people can now start skilling up in those areas. What's going on is a structural change. In economics, they call it change in how the economic structure is. That's heavy. We cannot equate it to the computer age. What used to happen is that, okay, we have someone who was typing with the typewriter. You can no longer type with the typewriter, but you still need to type. Just that now you have to type with a keyboard, not a typewriter. Of course, everyone could also learn typing by themselves. So we may not need you generally, but we still need typewriters regardless. Okay, that's by the way. When the advent of Canon, Sony came up, if you were a photographer, we still need photographers, but we don't need the ones who do not know how to use this kind of camera and who do not know how to edit, the post-production of photography. That's a different conversation. What AI came to do is this. You are a photographer and we don't need a photographer anymore. AI is not telling you we need a photographer to edit this way. No, AI is saying we don't need you at all. We can produce pictures ourselves without you. And I know you may think, all this is not true. But do you know how many LinkedIn profile pictures were made with AI? Those are the numbers of professional portrait pictures that could have been taken. Do you know how many LinkedIn posts were made with AI? Those are the number of professional writers that could have been hired to write those articles. People create full course, create the outline, produce the course, create the videos, create the transcript without consulting anyone, doing everything through one application. So AI is entirely disruptive. It changes the structure. While the developed economies will rejoice at the promise of AI, the developing or underdeveloped economies, we have to face the perils of AI. The impact will be stronger because we've had a young population who has moved to knowledge and service sectors, but we are still largely at the primary sectors. So people who were hands-on are no longer hands-on. We've pushed everyone with break into tech. Meanwhile, our campaign should have been breakthrough with tech. So whatever you're doing, continue to do it. Continue to engage with it, but you must now think of how you can influence what you're doing with technology to have a leverage. Like we have the Cobb-Douglas function, the production possibility curve, or the steady state we have in macroeconomics, where technology is a game changer. For instance, we have banks, now we have fintech. So we should have fashion, then fashion tech. We have education, so edutech. I attend edutech events alone in Nigeria a lot, and you will see how scanty technology is in that field. I think the best way Africa can go around this is to first of all get our people to deal with our own problem. Let's attend to our needs. Let's not just build for economies we are looking at. You can't look at a mirror and start adjusting your clothes to look like your other friend's clothes. What's the way forward? The first thing we need to go to is to go to real sectors, what our hands can handle. Finally, many churches have launched the Break into Tech campaign, skilling people in different areas of tech, and this is good. But I think it's high time we say the truth. Let's break through with tech. Let us amplify the message of purpose. Let people pursue what God has called them to do. Then, in what God has called them to do, we can bring up technology. I mean, there are novels to be written. Many of us could have been writers. Many people would have launched novels that could have released movies, that could have released comic books. Folks can go to agriculture, arts, and when I say technology, hands-on technology, not just service and softwares. So I believe that we can still control this, but before we do that, we must get back to doing the Africans for Africa kind of technology, kind of growth, kind of development, and that's what takes us there.